Welcome to African Tales and Stories, where every tale under the moonlight becomes a journey through the heart of Africa. Today, we bring the magic of African folk tales and the wisdom of African stories right to your screen. From ancient folklore to tales that dance with the stars, join us as we keep the timeless tradition of storytelling alive. Ready for an adventure? Let's dive into today's story. But before we begin, if you love these tales as much as we do, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to never miss a journey with us. In a small village in Western Africa, wrapped in the lush greenery and the endless blue skies, lived a man named Kofi. Kofi was known throughout his village for his bravery and strength. He wore vibrant Ankara clothing, just like every other person in his village, making the community a kaleidoscope of colors. Kofi, however, was not just any man. He was the one who dared to challenge the spirits. The spirits were invisible beings believed to control the fate of the village, from the rains that nourished their crops to the sun that lit up their days. People respected and sometimes feared these spirits, offering them gifts and prayers for protection and blessings. One day, a terrible drought struck the village. The earth cracked, the crops withered, and the rivers dried up. The villagers prayed to the spirits for rain, but their pleas went unanswered. Desperation crept into the village, and hunger loomed over every family. Kofi, watching his people suffer, decided to take matters into his own hands. He declared, "I will fight the spirits and demand they bring rain to our land." The villagers gasped in disbelief. No one had ever dared confront the spirits before. He dressed in his finest Ankara, adorned with symbols of courage and strength, and set out to the sacred grove where it was believed the spirits resided. The village watched in silence, their hearts filled with both hope and fear. As Kofi entered the grove, a sudden chill filled the air. He called out to the spirits, challenging them to face him. The wind whispered, the leaves rustled, but no spirit appeared. Kofi, undeterred, raised his voice, his words echoing through the trees. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and a figure appeared before Kofi. It was the spirit of the grove, clothed in ethereal Ankara patterns that seemed to move and change. "Why do you disturb our peace, human?" the spirit asked, its voice both everywhere and nowhere. Kofi stood tall and said, "I come for my people. They suffer while you withhold the rain. I demand you release it or face me in battle." The spirit laughed, a sound like thunder rolling across the sky. "You challenge us? What can a mere man do against spirits?" Kofi replied, "I am not just any man. I am Kofi, and my love for my people is stronger than any fear of you." The spirit, intrigued, proposed a challenge. "Show us the depth of your courage, and we might consider your request." The spirit transported Kofi to a realm of trials, where he faced tasks that tested his strength, wisdom, and heart. Each trial was more difficult than the last, pushing Kofi to his limits. Yet, his determination never wavered. He crossed rivers of fire, climbed mountains of ice, and answered riddles that twisted his mind. Through it all, Kofi remembered the faces of his people, their hope and their despair, driving him forward. Finally, Kofi stood before the final challenge. The spirit appeared again, saying, "You have shown great bravery, Kofi, but there is one last trial. You must give us something precious, something that proves your love for your people is true." Kofi thought deeply. He realized that the most precious thing he could offer was his pride. He knelt before the spirit, laying down his pride and his challenge. "I offer my pride, for it is nothing compared to the well-being of my people. I ask not as a challenger, but as a humble servant of my village. Please bring the rain." The spirit, moved by Kofi's sacrifice, nodded. "You have learned the greatest lesson of all, Kofi. True strength lies not in battling the spirits, but in understanding them. You have shown true bravery and love." With that, the spirit vanished, and Kofi found himself back in the village. Moments later, the skies darkened and rain began to fall, gentle at first, then pouring down in a life-giving deluge. The village rejoiced, their prayers answered at last. Kofi became a legend, not as the man who fought with the spirits, but as the one who learned to listen and humble himself for the sake of his people. His story was told and retold, a lesson in courage, humility, and the power of love over pride. The villagers, now prosperous and content, never forgot the lesson Kofi taught them. They understood that their fate was intertwined with the spirits, not in confrontation, but in cooperation and respect. From that day forward, the village flourished, their crops bountiful and their lives full of joy. They dressed in their ankara, a symbol of their culture and unity, and they remembered the man who wore his ankara with pride and humility. Kofi's story became a guiding light, a beacon of hope and wisdom for generations to come.